Hit the shower. Grab your coffee. And get ready to attack the weekend with Charlie Uczen and Jack Pembroke as they catch you up on everything Wisconsin sports you may have missed this past week. All before you even finish your breakfast. It's Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from 12:50 a.m. and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios. Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
How we doing, folks? How we doing? It is time again for what the big voice lady just said, another Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from the 12:50 a.m. and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I'm Charlie Uczen, got my guy Jack Pembroke on the other side of the glass there. Jack, it is a hot one out today, man.
I survived at Summerfest yesterday, and I have not been reminded of DC summer weather until yesterday. 90% humidity and 94 degrees.
It was rough. To say the least, it was rough. We have an awesome show for you guys today that's a little bit cooler than it is outside. First off, we're going to start with the flamethrower, Jacob Mizorowski, talk about another phenomenal outing he had last night, his second career MLB start. This guy looks like the future of the Milwaukee Brewers starting rotation. Looks like he could be one of the future stars of the MLB. Really excited to see what he can be. We'll just get into that. Second up here, we're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers and Pittsburgh coming back to Green Bay. We've kind of touched on that a little bit here before, but now the Packers have another revenge game added to their schedule as Jair Alexander joins the Baltimore Ravens, and the Ravens face off against the Packers late in the season. So we want to ask you, which one do you think matters more? We want you to tell us if the Packers, which one they think matters more, and to these two players, which one does it matter more to? We'll get into that. At 9:40, we got On the Green, as always, with Mason Crosby and Mitch Thunder Nellis on the Mason Crosby Show. They had Andrew Lehman and Todd Hadgeduck on the John Deere Classic discussing that event and what's going on there. Both those guys are big key pieces in making that event happen. So you're really going to want to hear this interview. It's a great one about the event. At 10 o'clock, we're going to talk about the NBA Finals going to Game 7 and who it matters most to. And we're not talking about the star players of this team. Gilbert Arenas had something really interesting to say about ring culture yesterday, so we wanted to get into that. And then we have Mount Pixmore. We did pretty good this week. We didn't have to blow up the whole mountain again. We did have one face fall off, probably the face that we thought would stay on the easiest. And then, as always, we'll finish off the show with Wisconsin Sports Weekend. Let's head back to what I was talking about before. The Milwaukee Brewers took on the Minnesota Twins yesterday, and I wouldn't really say it was a contest since the Milwaukee Brewers ended up winning 17-6. It was an absolute blowout. Not only did the Brewers win 17-6, they did it without hitting a home run. That is absolutely absurd to me. This Milwaukee Brewers team, all season we've been asking for power and for them to get on base that way or get some runs added that way. In this game, they didn't have to do that. Yesterday, me and Sparky were talking about how the Chicago Cubs, yes, their batting averages aren't the best, but they are just hitting home runs at a rapid pace. And the Milwaukee Brewers, if they're not going to hit home runs, they have to hit for contact. Jack, it kind of seemed like they hit for contact yesterday.
It's starting to get exciting. Are you entertained yet?
I'm real entertained.
I'm starting to get entertained this summer.
I mean, but I just need to see it at a consistent rate. You have guys like Jackson Chourio go 2 for 3 in this game with 3 walks. That's something you don't ever see from Jackson Chourio. Christian Yelich in this game goes 4 for 6 with 8 RBIs.
Yeah, 8 RBIs. I mean, that's when we were talking about, what's this team look like? What are we going to expect? Are we going to expect a doldrum of a summer? Are we going to see us do something in fall? That's the guy who has to have games like that.
Exactly. I mean, you see, William Contreras in this game doesn't have his best when he goes 0 for 4, but that's also kind of what we've seen from William Contreras. He still ends up adding an RBI in this one, which helps a little bit. That's what you need. What I'm worried about is that you don't get that consistency from Jackson Chourio moving forward. When has he ever had 3 walks in his career before this? Is that something that can continue? Christian Yelich, all season, he's kind of been up and down. He's had these really hot games where a couple weeks ago he has 2 home runs in that game. This one he has 4 hits and 8 RBIs. Are we going to see him fall back down to earth for the next 8 games again like we did last time? These are the things I get worried about. So yeah, I'm very entertained. This was a super fun game to watch, but at the same time, I get worried about the consistency of some of these players on this roster. There's one guy that I am not worried about at all, that I'm super hyped on now. His second career MLB start, Jacob Mizorowski, the Miz, was out on the mound yesterday, and I didn't watch the first couple innings. I watched the end of the game because I wanted to see what happened. But when I looked at my phone, he was through 3 innings of no-hit baseball. I had to flip on that game again, Jack.
Man, 6 Ks, 1 hit.
Just absurd. And he didn't. It was not only a no-hitter through 5 innings, he had a perfect game through 5 innings. Came into the 6th inning, gave up a couple runs in that one. But that's okay. What we saw from Jacob Misiorowski throughout these first 2 starts, 11 no-hit innings to begin your MLB career, is unheard of. Nobody has ever done that before. That is absolutely absurd.
If you had told me, like, what's your picture-perfect moment in this guy's first 2 games played in the big leagues, I don't think I could have ever guessed, like, oh yeah, no one's going to touch his heat, and he's going to look like the second coming of Christ.
Even Paul Skeens wasn't that good. I mean, Jacob Misiorowski made Willie Castro fall on the ground in this game due to a strikeout pitch. Like, the dude spun around like a tornado and fell on his butt in the batter's box because of a pitch Jacob Misiorowski threw. It's absolutely absurd.
You're younger, so I'm going to ask you, do you remember Pros vs. Joes?
I do not know.
Okay, so it was this amazing thing in the late 90s, early 2000s where they'd have guys like us that either played college or were decent in high school thinking, I can play a pro, I can go up against a pro. So they'd have a challenge, and it would be like Dennis Rodman, you have to out-rebound Dennis Rodman, or guard Michael Irvin, or tackle, someone. And it was always hilarious to see like a pitcher, a real MLB pitcher, pitch to these guys, and it looked like toddlers swinging and falling down. That's what that reminded me of. It looked like Pros vs. Joes.
Yeah, it's so much fun to watch this guy, especially compared to the rest of the team this year, where you're just now starting to see some of these guys get going. To have him come in and from the moment of his first start be this electric is such a breath of fresh air for this team.
I think we take a sigh because it's like now you're not stressing before the trade deadline as much of, okay, we've got injuries at the pitching, who's coming back, what do we need to build up for a possible playoff run, because that's what you and I want to see.
Mm-hmm. That's what everyone wants to see.
Yeah, I mean, are you not entertained if we don't play into fall?
No, I don't think I am.
No,
I think I'm pretty disappointed if they don't play into fall. And I agree with you 100%. Right now, this Brewers team doesn't want to focus on pitching because their pitching has been phenomenal. The guys that have filled in for all these injured players have done a great job. At the same time, if guys keep getting injured at the rate that they have, not just this season, but last season too, you still have to make a trade for a pitcher at the deadline. Then I think that's the last thing the Brewers want to do because they have so many more needs at other positions on this team that they're going to have to attack.
They need to fill hitting.
Exactly. They got holes at third base and shortstop right now. Joey Ortiz, man, he's back over 200.
Hey,
He did that literally last night. He went 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs.
You got to trend in the right direction, and everyone mentally gets better with a 17-6 shellacking of quote unquote our rivals from Minnesota.
I guess they're the rivalry weekend matchup. It's something weird like that.
They're trying to make a Viking Packer thing happen, and it's just so 1999.
I want to get into the future of Jacob Misiorowski and what you expect for him. If you want to get in on Wisconsin Sports Weekend here live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, feel free to join on in. You can call us or text us at 414-677-1250. Again, that's 414-677-1250, 1250. You can also hit us up on Facebook and Twitter, answer our question on there. We are also live streaming on YouTube right now. So if you wanted to tune in on YouTube, see my beautiful face, Jack Pembroke's gorgeous face, supermodel over there, the Wisconsin Warlock. Over on that side of the glass. You can tune into the YouTube channel, just the Fan Milwaukee on there as well. Click our little logo with the halo around it, the little red halo that says live, and you'll see us on there. You can hit us up in the comments of the live stream, and we can answer your questions on there as well. So any way you guys want to join the show, it's open. It's available for you guys. We are asking you, what baseball legend or player is Jacob Misiorowski's ceiling moving forward in his career? Now, this is a very broad question. There's a lot of great players out there, and he's only had 2 career MLB starts. Now, both of them have been beyond electric. Jack, last week you had mentioned Randy Johnson when we were talking about Jacob Misiorowski. Is that just the easy comparison just because of his height and the way he throws?
I think conceptually and aesthetically, when you look at him, he's like a human trebuchet, like Randy Johnson was. It doesn't always look as powerful and as fast as it really is. But I was even saying the leg kick and the delivery, he's a 6'7" Randy Johnson to me. Now, when we were talking off air, you had some great great connections and parallels. So would you want to expand on
Sure.
those?
I had mentioned the name that popped into my mind first as a current player, it's Jacob deGrom. And Jacob deGrom is not as tall as a Jacob Mizorowski or Randy Johnson, nowhere near a Randy Johnson. That dude was an NBA player playing pitcher for some reason. But you have these certain intangibles with how hard they throw with as little effort, like you're talking about. I think Randy Johnson had this as well, where it's the throwing motion, and Jacob Mizorowski has this way of going over the top versus kind of to the side, which I think you're seeing a lot of young pitchers who are some of the best in the league are doing that side approach. It's kind of Paul Skeens has that side approach, which is something that I think you easily want to compare Jacob Mizorowski to just because of how quickly it's ascending in the MLB, that you want to make that connection. But I think what the problem is with Paul Skeens is he's going to blow out his shoulder throwing that way, in my opinion.
Yeah, if you look at it, it just looks awkward. It looks like you're putting too much stress on the elbow and the shoulder, and to me, that's Tommy John surgery waiting to happen.
Exactly, and I think a lot of the young pitchers that you're seeing that are having that Tommy John surgery are throwing like that, and I think Jacob deGrom later in his career, he went from the over-the-shoulder to kind of that more sidearm throw, and you saw the injuries start piling up for a guy like him. I probably expect that to happen with a Jacob Mizorowski as well, just because that over-the-shoulder throw, yes, long-term, it makes you last a little bit longer, but throughout the course of a season and the course of a game, you're doing so much more momentum damage on your shoulder in that exact moment, and it's going to tire you out a lot more. So I think throwing from that sidearm approach takes a lot less stress off of that shoulder in the moment. But I think you're completely right. As long-term, it's probably going to destroy that shoulder because it doesn't take that time to repair with those longer motions. You're not stretching it out the same. You're just tearing it over and over again. So, yes, you can last longer in the moment, but those tears don't get time to heal through the pitches.
And you get those overuse injuries. And we don't, knock on fake wood in this back room. But I think we're handling Jacob. I know last week you said, I would have loved to see him just, have a no-hitter.
Right.
I think for the type of superstar he could be for us, because if we're looking down the road, we want him for 5 or 6, 7 seasons at this level.
Hopefully, at least, yeah.
No, right? So if you're going to get your money's worth. So, and I'm realistic. The MLB's like the NFL. It's not for long. You can get jacked, for ERA of 4 or 5 and then get sent down.
Over, yeah.
And you're not the pretty boy anymore. But I think as long as we are steady and consistent with his play, and like you said, make sure we're not letting him overuse that arm, because it is a very powerful mechanic throw. I like how we look as a team. It's a lot easier to go out and find offense and new bats, whether it's in your farm league or through free agency or trades. It's a lot harder to find an ace like Jacob Mizorowski.
Right, and I think the Brewers, the benefit that they have is within their farm system, they do have those bats. They have guys like Jesus Mate sitting at the top, Luis Pena. Both those dudes are studs.
Are you salivating at the possibility of, like, in a year or so of them being on the team?
Oh, easily. Like, it's going to be exciting. I think those guys probably have a little bit more time just because they're so much younger. But, like, a Cooper Pratt is a year away from being on this team. A Brock Wilken is a year away from being on this team. Braylon Payne, the first-round pick from this past year, is killing it in the minor leagues right now. Yes, he's coming out of high school, but he's a guy that's a little bit more refined, has played American ball before. It's a little easier to get to the majors. You have a lot of options in the minor leagues right now for this team. I also get a little excited about the idea of them trading one of these dudes to go and get some of these bats that we're talking about.
To get an immediate bat. Yeah, I that's not smart. I mean, it's not dumb, and it probably is a smart decision long term. If we're healthy at pitching, you're going to need runs, and we're going to need to manufacture them any way we can.
But that's the key. You got to be healthy at pitching, and right now this Brewers team just cannot do that. Brandon Woodruff has not touched the mound so far this season.
I know,
which
that's
is
scary.
Absurd. I feel awful for him. Like, really, to be back down and hurt again, like one step away from making it back to the majors each time.
He's tried so hard too.
Exactly.
And your heart goes out to a guy like that. You never want to see a guy who's great for this town, great for the team, kind of tussle with that issue.
Exactly. He really is a leader of this team. It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We are asking you what you think Jacob Mizorowski's ceiling is when comparing him to other MLB players and legends across the whole grand scheme of the MLB. Jack was saying a little bit Randy Johnson. I was saying a little bit of Jacob deGrom. Let us know what you think right here on the Fan. You can hit us up on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line, 414-677-1250. Again, that's 414-677-1250. Or at the Fan Milwaukee on Facebook and Twitter. We are also live streaming on YouTube right now. Every show on the Fan moving forward here is going to be live streaming on YouTube. Each show will then be posted afterwards on YouTube with all the highlights, all the interviews that you may have missed will all be on our YouTube channel. So be sure to head over there. That is the Fan Milwaukee. Click on the little logo in the corner with the little red halo. It's going to say live right underneath. And then once you hit on that, it'll take you straight to the live stream. Now it is time for our fan weather report. It is an extreme heat warning right here now here in Hales Corners. We're about 83 degrees and windy. The wind is very nice out there. So if you want to go for a drive with your windows open, right now is the time to do it before the wind dies out. It's going to be a hot one with a high of 94 today and a low of 73. So everybody stay safe, stay hydrated. Make sure you're drinking all your Gatorade. If you're going out to Summerfest, make sure you're getting some food in your system. Again, water. Mix it in between those drinks. Do everything you can to stay on your feet to see all that great music that's happening out at Summerfest. It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Charlie Uczen here, Jack Pembroke there. We will be right back.
Set sail.
of the glass. It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sports Book. If you guys are just tuning in, you missed us talk about Jacob Mizorowski's amazing performance last night, another 5 no-hit innings before giving up a few runs in the 6th. But he did start off his career with 11 no-hit innings, which is phenomenal. I don't think I've ever seen anybody else do that. I don't think I will ever see anybody else start off a career like that. It doesn't get much better than that. If you wanted to hear that segment, feel free to rewind on your free Odyssey app. Just head back, check out the Fan Milwaukee on there. If you hit the little play button, you can just scroll all the way back to the beginning of the show and hear me and Jack and what we were talking about with Jacob Mizorowski. Now, we want to head on over to the NFL, where some big news happened this past week. The Green Bay Packers 2 weeks ago decided to release cornerback Jair Alexander, captain leader of this team, a guy many people thought was going to have an opportunity to come back to the Green Bay Packers. Jack, did you feel like Jair was going to come back?
I mean, on this show, we went back and forth, right? Like a nice Wimbledon tennis match. Right. I think at a certain point, I kind of went from like a 0% chance to, oh, it might be like a 60% chance he's coming back. I know when we saw the Instagram videos of them working out together in LA, but you were smart enough to know that you said, hey, these guys like each other and they're friends off the season. It's like me or you, like, hey, you want to go work out? Right. Okay, cool, let's go work out. So you were smart. I got into the feelings of being a fan and owner, and I was like, oh, we need him. Now, more that I look at it, I think we get better by subtraction.
I think that's fair. And I think when you look at what he did for this team last season, he wasn't exactly out there. What he did for the season before, he wasn't exactly out there. The year before, he played the whole season, but then the year before that, he wasn't exactly out there on the field.
Out of the last 4 seasons, I'm going to take a guesstimate. He probably played maybe around 55% of snaps.
And that's probably most of that coming from that second season that I was talking about. Jair Alexander, I wanted him to be back. I think him being on this team helps the Green Bay Packers immensely no matter what. When he is healthy, he is one of the best cornerbacks in the league. I don't see anybody else.
Top 3.
It's kind of insane how good he is. The problem is he can't stay healthy. And the other problem is this Green Bay Packers team did okay without him. It wasn't the best defensive back room in the field, but it was also one of the best when it came to having to step up in a big situation.
It was a blue-collar gentleman's B team, but when they came to play, they played up to opponents. I think that's what, as a Packer fan, is exciting, that you have Valentine, you have Ballantyne. God, I love saying their names back-to-back. It's hilarious. You've got Nixon, who I think is kind of wants to be more of this first team DB role.
Which he filled in well last year. I just don't know if he showed us enough to have that role moving forward.
I think you're totally correct about that. What hurt me the most about loving Jair, he was my first interview as an intern at The Fan when I got to interview Rodgers. And Jair was a rookie. No one was talking to him. He was quiet. I went over to his corner. I said, hey, man, I really think you're going to be a good DB here. Can I get your first interview? Nice guy. Nothing bad to say about him. But you got to go like other teams. Steelers, the Patriots, you look at what the production is on their end. And it just wasn't up to snuff the last 2 years. And at what point are you paying millions of dollars for a guy who – in the media kind of said, hey, I'm going to make better decisions on tackling, and that's what I saw. My dad will be happy that I'm saying that live on air. He said that he started to get alligator arms and think, about next season and his career, and right. I noticed that.
When looking at this whole situation between the Packers and Jair, rumors were that the Packers weren't willing to adjust Jair's contract, or they did want to adjust it. They didn't want to keep it as is. Jair wanted to keep it as is. They wanted to move some money around, make it a little more beneficial for the team.
Probably bring in someone else defensively in free agency.
Do you think this decision to cut Jair was more the decision of Jair kind of getting fed up with the organization, or do you think this is the organization saying, look, we really have no other options?
So there's definitely 3 sides to every story, right? There's theirs, yours, and the middle truth.
Right.
So I tend to believe the Packers have a system, right? We do things the way we do things as a team, and they're known, if you're in negotiations with them, you're probably not in the greatest of spots in terms of getting the most money, the most years you can get. So I think that's what happened in those negotiations. They said, Jair, you were great 3 years ago, but you've played 12 games in the last 2 years. And you don't quote me on that. It's somewhere around 12 or 14 full games.
Right.
But I think you tend to look at the pros and cons and you say, look, we've got to restructure this deal. We've got to bring someone else in. If you're injured again this year, we've got to build on the DB end, pass rushing. We've got to do stuff on defense that's going to cost money. So they probably said, hey, we really like you. You're a captain. We really want you here, but we need you to come down on that price so we can go get other players to bolster this defense. And I think there's as a player, you are an athlete too. You have ego. You know how good you are. You know how good you are when you're healthy. So I think that played a little bit of a role. And at the end of the day, the Packers are a smart organization. You're not going to overpay for underperformance.
Right. And Jair Alexander ended up not getting overpaid, where he did end up going after the Packers cut him. He ends up signing with the Baltimore Ravens to join his former college teammate Lamar Jackson.
And roommate, I believe.
Yeah, they were best friends. They were dapping each other up in the preseason game last year. I mean, they have a lot of love for each other.
As a kid who grew up on the East Coast in the D.C. area for high school, I obviously always been a Packer fan, but the year we moved there, the Ravens became a team, and I was obsessed defensively with Ed Reed and Ray Lewis.
Right.
So they were like my secret AFC team that they never really played. If they played the Packers, obviously Packers want them to win.
Right.
But they were like my exciting AFC team, so I'm kind of excited I get to okay, cool, I'll catch some Baltimore Ravens games this year. I'm not buying a jersey or anything, but it's cool that I'll get to actually care about Jair's rest of his career with another team. I just think at the end of the day, it's addition by subtraction. We needed to do it.
Exactly. So he joins the Baltimore Ravens on a 1-year, $6 million deal to be with his former college teammate, like we're talking about here, college roommate, like Jack said. When looking at that deal, He says he took the pay cut to join the team to be with Lamar because they couldn't really afford any more money, but there were other teams offering him contracts with more money. Realistically, Jack, do you feel like there was a trade market for Jair that the Packers just weren't willing to negotiate with?
No, because as we've said on this show and the Andy Herman show, you could tell the Packers were kind of like, there's a love relationship again, but everyone else, you better know if you're interested. We're about to sign Jair again. But if you guys would want to offer something, we might take a look. So I think that was the Packers dipping their toe in the water and realizing there wasn't maybe but a handful of teams that wanted to kick the tires.
Man, take a 7th round pick. You got rid of him for nothing.
I agree with you.
That's what I like.
Yeah.
Yes, there may not have been something that was worth the value of Jair Alexander. I get it. This guy is, like we said, when healthy, a top 3 cornerback.
They wanted a 4th rounder or something.
And I feel like that was probably the value I'd put on him too, which means that other NFL teams did not put that value on him. They put it lower than that.
5th round or 6th round, yeah.
A 7th round pick, man. Take it. Take something for that.
Take something.
You're telling me the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Cleveland Browns wouldn't trade a 7th round pick so that they could extend Jair Alexander? And Jair probably doesn't want to go to Jacksonville.
No.
He probably doesn't want to go to Cleveland. At the same time, dude, you'd get paid there. Like that's how that'd be. You'd get the contract.
Get to go fishing early every fall, or winter in Florida.
Exactly. You'd be fine there. And for the Packers to not make that move kind of confuses me a little bit. Again, I understand
It's
you
a bit
want
of
to
a
get
head
the
scratch.
value, but there had to be something out there. I refuse to believe that nobody offered a 7th round pick for Jair Alexander.
Do you think Jair made it difficult on them being able to?
Probably, because again, a lot of what had to do with this whole situation is that he wanted an extension with whatever team was going to trade for him. And I truly don't think that, again, he would want to sign an extension with the Cleveland Browns or the Jacksonville Jaguars if those two teams came calling to trade for him and give him that
That's
extension.
where your soul goes to die.
So yeah, I think he probably was a little bit difficult. I think he was probably thinking, you know what, unless it's like the Miami Dolphins, I don't want this trade to happen because the teams that are going to try to make that trade are bad teams that aren't going to be able to compete.
For the Ravens, I think this is a great move. They had multiple issues all last year with inconsistent play at the DB position. It hurt them in big games against teams like the Steelers, who now, on paper, look a lot better at the quarterback position and, our new exciting, shiny offense. I'm excited to see both those ex-Packers go against each other, and that's kind of like one leading into that next part of the question.
Right.
Who are you most interested in beating next year?
There you go, Jack. That was pretty good there, man.
Yeah, we tried.
We got Aaron Rodgers with the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Green Bay Packers. I believe it is week 7, if I'm mistaken. I think
I'll check on the board at the break.
Over there. So we got that, and then we have the Packers taking on the Baltimore Ravens at the end of the season. So like Jack was asking there, both these teams are going to be a little bit of a revenge game for both these guys. I don't know to what degree, but we wanted to know which game will matter more to you when they go to that matchup just because of these storylines that are there. We also want to know which game you think will matter most to the Green Bay Packers and their team and the players on those squads and who they want to play. And then last but not least, which player will this game matter most to? Will it be Aaron Rodgers? Will he going back to play Green Bay or playing Green Bay in Pittsburgh? Will that be a huge deal for him? Jair Alexander, he kind of got screwed this offseason by the Green Bay Packers. Playing them with the Baltimore Ravens, a team who's just a dominant force at this point in the league, I would really want to beat up on the Packers too. So if you want to get in on that, hit us up on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line 414-677-1250. Again, that's 414-677-1250-1250. You can also hit us up at the Fan Milwaukee on Facebook and Twitter. And we are also live streaming on YouTube right now. So if you want to get in on the show there, we'll read your comments coming through on the live stream if you want to see Jack Pembroke's beautiful, beautiful face.
Oh, God, stop that.
Tommy Wirtz is going to be on camera moving forward here, too.
Hey, he's got the sultry tones of Tommy Wirtz.
Sultry tones and the sultry looks of Tommy Wirtz now. Mm-hmm.
He's going to start his own jazz channel.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be Dark Thunder.
Late nights with Tommy Wirtz over on the Fan. So we're on the Fan YouTube again. That's the Fan Milwaukee on YouTube. You can hit the little logo, a little red aura with the live button underneath, and you'll see us there. Jack, who do you think, just off the top of the bat, for Packers fans, which game is more important?
For me as a Packer fan, you already know who I want to beat. Mm-hmm. I wanted this game to be in Ireland. My dad's from Ireland. I have 80% of my dad's family is still in Dublin. I would have found a way to get the show there to Dublin. We would have been interviewing all these great Irish people. Awesome. And they would have been saying, "Oh, we hope you beat Aaron Rodgers." So that's where I'm a little bit ticked that the NFL kind of, and maybe the Packers tried to not let us play over there. But that's the game I want us to see Aaron Rodgers sacked like 3 times. Mm-hmm. I want to see his helmet sideways, him looking out his ear hole, like that one cool picture of him. And look, I'm not hating on Aaron Rodgers. I cried the day Brett Favre retired, and I remember my dad did not miss a beat. He said, "This next guy is going to be way better, and you're going to fall in love with him." And I just remember no one's better than Brett. And he was right. We'll give him his due. Joe Pembroke was right about that. He brought us joy, and I'm thankful for that. And he did us dirty at the end of it, but at least he's not a Viking.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
He gave us good.
I think that's more because the Vikings didn't want him to be a Viking.
Yeah,
it wasn't an Aaron Rodgers choice.
It was the Sadie Hawkins dance, and they didn't want to ask him to dance.
Right.
So, to me, I want to see us punish Aaron Rodgers. I want it to look like he did last year at the Jets, where he doesn't know what he's doing. He's missing little dig routes. He's missing little slants. To me, there's more. Rodgers controls more of that game, that matchup, right? So to me, that's the bigger what if of who you want to get over on your rival. Jair's a DB. Now it'll be a good game, and the packages on TV will show all the things like, oh, Jair against his old team, and same with Rodgers against his old team. I just think there's more juice playing an old quarterback than a cornerback just doesn't. He's not going to have the ball in his hands, and he's not going to have as big an impact on the game as Rodgers will.
I will say, though, if we look at the makeup of the Green Bay Packers roster, how many of these guys really played with Aaron Rodgers, if we're being honest?
Romeo Doubs.
Like the important pieces. So Romeo Doubs, Jordan Love.
Malik
Jenkins,
Heath.
if he plays.
There's a bunch of 4th and 5th stringers that play, but
guys that don't, like Rashawn Gary is the guy I can think of, and Kenny Clark. Rashawn Gary and Kenny Clark are the two guys.
Isaiah McDuffie.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, okay,
so those two and Jordan Love are the only three that I can see that would probably have like a bone to pick with Aaron Rodgers, and that's a bone to pick with like quotes because they probably
Jordan
don't
is
either.
friends with him.
Exactly. This is just something that the relationship that they have with a guy like Aaron Rodgers would make this game mean a little bit more. If you look at this roster, a lot of these guys have talked about the impact that Jair Alexander has had on them. And when I talk about this being a revenge game and who it'll matter more to Green Bay and the Packers that are on the field during those games, I think Aaron Rodgers, yes, the Packers and those players, even if they haven't played with them, would want to beat Aaron Rodgers. But I also think the Jair Alexander game will just mean more to these guys. Yes, he's not a quarterback. Yes, he may not have the same impact, but he mattered more to this team. And I won't say that the Packers players are going to like throw the game or anything, but because they may be frustrated with the organization, because they feel so much for Jair, their emotions are just going to be higher and their level of play is going to be higher because of that.
You might have changed my mind with that, Charlie. That's not easy to do. I think you do have a good point that he's more recent, so the pain is more recent. People are kind of like, Aaron Rodgers was, so last 5 years ago. Right. And he just hasn't played up to what people expected or his potential, I guess, on paper. So maybe you're right. And maybe at this point in the season, when we do play the Ravens, they will be a healthier, stronger team, and they might have already beaten up on the Steelers. So I think that's what, for me as an NFL fan, will be more important is what the schedule's like, what the wins and losses for each of those teams, because it could be really ugly in Pittsburgh very fast. Like, we don't really know what to expect.
There's a lot of people guessing that Aaron Rodgers may not be the starting quarterback by the time they play the Packers. Like, it could be that bad.
That would be amazing. I would love that. I'm not trying to see him get hurt again. I did when he started, and my dad can quote me on this. We both looked at each other when he ran the flag out, and I said, how crazy would it be if he just got injured on, the first drive? Gosh. And my dad was like, did you just speak that into existence? And you never want to root for someone to get injured, but man, karma felt so good that night.
It's also kind of really cool when you're right about something like that.
I know, right?
It's like me and my buddy were watching the World Series 2 years ago between the Rangers and the Diamondbacks.
Okay.
And in that game, I said, Adolis Garcia is going to tie the game up here, and Corey Seager is going to win the game on a home run.
Wow.
Or no, it was the other way around.
Okay.
Corey Seager tied the game on a home run, and then Adolis did it. And I said that. I was like, all right, that's going to happen. And my friend goes, you want to bet on it? Pulls up his phone, puts $10 on it to win. I think it was like $2,000. We hit. And he was like, oh my God.
You just felt like you were an X-Man.
Exactly. So I get that. Yeah, you're never rooting for anybody to be injured, but it's kind of cool to have that feeling. Last question real quick here, Jack. Aaron Rodgers, Jair Alexander. Which one of those two guys does this matchup matter more to going against the Packers?
Aaron Rodgers. His psyche is so soft, man. He's got the psyche and ego of a 5th grade Catholic school lunch table. Like, someone made fun of your mom's snack, and he's either going to cry or fight, you know?
I get it. I think, personally, I'm going to go Jair on this one. Again, the wounds are just fresher.
Yeah.
With Aaron Rodgers, yes, he didn't get treated the best by the Green Bay Packers at the end of his career there. At the same time, it's kind of long gone now. He's been gone from the team for 2 years. It's going to be 2.5 years by the time.
People are in love with Jordan Love now.
Exactly. And I think more people love Aaron Rodgers more than they love Brett Favre when he left. I think
that's a good point.
I think people really had a distaste for Brett Favre.
Brett had some issues off the field, too.
Beyond that, because Aaron Rodgers isn't exactly the most likable guy off the field either. I'm talking about directly on the field, what they did as a Packer. People were frustrated when he left more so than when Aaron Rodgers left.
Definitely.
And I think because of that, that's going to matter a little bit more to a guy like Jair, because he's been there longer. The situation, how it all played out, it kind of made it seem like his value wasn't as high as most people believed. It would be a little disrespectful to me if I'm Jair Alexander in that situation.
He's got something to prove. He wants a 2-pick game.
Exactly. I think at least one pick would be like, he would be happy with that. He'd be running his mouth no matter what. You'd see the sword come through real quick. All right, folks. It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. When we come back, it'll be time to go on the green with Mason Crosby and Mitch Thunder Nellis on the Mason Crosby Show. That's with Andrew Lehman and Todd Hadgeduck of the John Deere Classic. Again, it is Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from 1250 AM, 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We will be right back.
Hi, this is Mason Crosby, and unlike bigger national law.
What's the latest on the PGA Tour? What course do you need to get out and play? What's the latest from the local golf pro? It's time for On the Green, presented by Alice Windows, Doors, and More on The Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thunder Nellis. Presented by Verizon, Milwaukee's #1 network, broadcasting live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios. Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Today we focus on the John Deere Classic at TPC Deer Run in Western Illinois.
Hey everybody, Mitch Nellis, aka Thunder, here with the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the #1 network in Milwaukee. We're live in the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, and I'm super excited to be joined on the green with Mason Crosby by Andrew Lehman, John Deere Classic Tournament Director, and Todd Hyduke, General Manager of TPC Deer Run. Mason, it's all yours, my friend.
What's up, fellas? Thanks for joining the Mason Crosby Show. It's awesome to have y'all. Andrew, I'm going to start with you. I can see you right now, so that just made sense to me. But just tell us a little bit about the John Deere Classic and how long you've been involved and how excited you are for this tournament coming up.
Well, thanks. First of all, great to be with you guys this morning and appreciate the opportunity. We're rocking and rolling about a week away from tournament week, and this is our 54th year as an event on the PGA Tour, and we're the only annual PGA Tour event yearly in the state of Illinois, with the BMW moving around from location to location. So, we're proud to be a Quad City staple summer tradition here in the Quad Cities. And Mason, this is my 19th year with the tournament, which is hard to believe. When they tell you life goes by quick, they're not joking.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. Yeah, it's a fun one. It's like perfect timing as U.S. Open's kind of come to a close, and we're it's like gearing up towards the the Open Championship there. It's always one of my favorites, and obviously big John Deere fan. So to be able to watch that, and what better place than a TPC Deere Run. So I see Todd has jumped on, and going to ask you a few questions, Todd, about the course in particular, and like what your involvement is, how long you've been involved there at TPC Deere Run, and kind of what a special place it is, and how much you enjoy being out there.
Absolutely. Thanks you, Mason, for having me on. Appreciate the time. The property is very special. Got a ton of history here. Goes way back with the John Deere family that lived on this property. Had an Arabian horse farm here. Just a ton of history. The coming of the golf course was back in the late 90s when John Deere wanted to get into the title sponsorship and everything, and the equipment business with the PGA Tour. And they built this wonderful golf course, D.A. Weibring design. One of his best probably designed golf courses. Par 71, 7,200 yards, but the layout's amazing. For a Midwest golf course, you don't think there'd be rolling hills and all the beautiful scenery out here with trees, and so it's really a special property, and we're fortunate to have it. We've extended to 2030, so we're excited about that. And I've been here at the property for this is my 13th year, actually 14th season, starting, so 13 years full and 14th season. So good times, enjoying it.
That's awesome. And Todd, how is it open to the public as far as people being able to come out and play? Is it a private course? Like, what does that look like if anyone wants to come out there and play your great golf course?
Yeah, great question. And it's been a roller coaster of figuring out what fits here. We're in a small community of the Quad Cities, less than 400,000 people, so we're not a destination. We opened semi-private back in 2000, but we've definitely found our strength and our foothold here being a public golf course primarily, so anybody can come visit. Since the COVID pandemic, we've been really busy. Golf's been taking off, I think, for everybody. We've seen that as well at this golf course, and things have been really busy. We get a lot of people coming from Chicago mostly, but anywhere in the region in the Midwest come to visit our golf course. They really want to play the course because of what we do here in 2 weeks. They want to walk in the footsteps of the players, see the holes that they've played, and can share those experiences. So, it's been great.
We got Todd Hyduke with TPC Deere Run and Andrew Lehman with the John Deere Classic, and they're on the green with Mason Crosby. So this is awesome. I love having both of y'all here and getting your perspectives. So I'm going to go to you, Andrew, on this one too. When does that process start? Putting up the grandstands, getting the course prepped for the tournament, and then I'd love to hear Todd's how does that kind of affect, and when people come out. I've played down there in TPC Scottsdale leading up to that tournament, and playing with the grandstands, it's so different than playing just a normal round of golf whenever those stands aren't up. So yeah, just hit everybody listening with that whole process of what it takes.
Yeah, it's a great question, and quite honestly, if I had a nickel for every time I was asked if this is a full-time job, I'd be retired and hanging out with you guys more often. But,
right.
Our process starts almost immediately after the tournament. We start looking at what worked, what didn't work, our operations plan for the next year. Our sales process starts almost immediately. But as we transition into the spring, the Masters is really the time, and it would be the same in Wisconsin. The Masters is really the time people start thinking about golf, and I think the excitement ramps from there. As far as a build standpoint, we start our build typically in about mid-May, a week and a half to 2 weeks ahead of Memorial Day. So it's about a 7 or 8 week process. Yeah, it's a 7 or 8 week process, and they come in and get it all ready, and you even look at it today being, I guess, whatever we are, 9-8 days away from Monday at tournament week. I mean, there's a ton of work to do, and it's amazing to me seeing it year after year. You always get a little bit nervous. Weather has got to be a friend of yours during advance week and hopefully during tournament week, and we've just got a big week ahead of us, but it's amazing to me that it always comes together and is show ready by Monday morning.
I love that. Yeah, and Todd, what is that for y'all on the golf course side as stuff starts getting built? I mean, I'm assuming play's still going on. When do you shut down just to prepare for the tournament? And do you feel like patrons coming out there enjoy that experience of getting to play as the grandstands are being built and going up?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, the builds, like you said, back in May, you start seeing some of the structures go up, but right now it's almost pretty much where it's going to look like for most of the tournament. And players are taking pictures. Just like you referenced Scottsdale, you're down there and you feel that kind of arena feel around the property. And every day, someone's taking a picture somewhere, talking about it, experiencing what they can, and it's really cool to do that. We go car path only about 2-3 weeks ago, which is kind of a detractor, right? People don't like to walk; they want to take the cards out in the fairway. But we're still playing. We're playing today. We play all the way up till next Wednesday, so we're only closed 4 days before the competition starts on Monday. But yeah, we play as much as we can. It gets a little crazy. They're doing a big load in next week. It gets really hectic next week with John Deere's activation and putting all their equipment out here, and we only have one road in and one road out. So I mean, it's tight fit for everything to get accomplished. But it's cool. It's fun. I'll make a reference here. I tell all the time. I go through staff orientation. I go, this is our Super Bowl. This is it for us. This is the big time for us, and especially for the Quad Cities. This is probably the premier event in town. So this is our big show for the year. And so we take a. We're very excited. It's just a lot going on right now. You're working all day, every day right now, which is great because you get plenty of time off in the wintertime.
Hey, maybe you should bring the show down here for when they're putting in those tractors, because you want to see comedy. Watch a combine come down the one-lane road and a car try to go around it.
Oh man, yeah, those things are intense in their own right, even like out in space. So yeah, I'm sure that's a wild time as those tractors are rolling in and getting placed out on the golf course. So we got Todd Hyduke with TPC Deer Run and Andrew Lehman, director of the the John Deere Classic, coming up in a couple weeks. I'm so excited. Just a little quick question. Maybe next year I get like a sponsor's exemption. I can go out there and
let's go.
I'm sure you have a pro-am on Wednesday leading up to it, right? I mean,
here's the folder with 80 plus sponsor exemption submissions. So you got to send me a letter.
All right, I'll send you one. Mason,
you're in. You're in.
Yeah, I'll try to find some references. It's my putting game. My putting has gotten better, so that's something I had to work on. I can make a 50-yard field goal without any issues, but that 4-foot putt sometimes gets a little dicey. Y'all know how that is.
Mason, I got to tell you. The tournament director before me, who was my boss for 16 years, had a Bart Starr jersey hanging right where the Ernie Banks jersey is. So you might have missed your window a little bit there.
Exactly.
You made too many kicks against the Bears, my friend.
I know. It's tough. Yeah, tell listeners, obviously everyone in the Midwest kind of knows what a golf season looks like, but tell listeners that might not be listening from Wisconsin or Chicago or Illinois area or the Midwest, like kind of what your golf season looks like, because every time I talk about golfing in Wisconsin or in the Midwest, they're just like, oh, you get like 2 months. Like, so for some reason, everyone's brain is that it just snows and then you get like a couple months, in the summer to go out. So tell everyone what that golf season looks like. Again, like you said, you can play till Wednesday leading up to the tournament because the Midwest recovers very fast. Like that lush, nice grass, like it's not as hot and detrimental to the growing season. So yeah, I'd love for you to kind of dive into what that golf season looks like up there.
Yeah, I mean, we started this year probably March 18th, which is really early, but the springs are always thawing out. They're usually damp and whatever, and it's cold. So, I mean, we'll play from April to October, but if you really want some quality, you want to play between May and September. So we have 5 good months of really quality golf. I was talking with some of my counterparts yesterday about the car path only thing, because to your point, other courses do months. They're car path only for 2 or 3 months just because of the conditions and circumstances, where we can only do 3 weeks, and because the course recovers so quickly. We do have a lot of play right now, so that the tour and rules officials are like, hey, don't have too much play out there. We want the course in pristine condition, so not too many ball marks, not too many divots. So we want to manage that as best we can, but it does recover, Mason, very quickly to your point. So the course is open, prime conditions. We got rain, and it's going to get really hot, so things are going to grow like a weed. So our team's going to be out there mowing and maintaining the next 10 days or so to get prepared for the tournament.
Andrew Lehman, John Deere Classic Tournament Director, Todd Hyduke, General Manager, TPC Deer Run, joining us on the green on the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon. How do people get tickets? We're based in Milwaukee, but obviously we're on the Odyssey app, so we're people could be listening from all over. But for our fans in southeastern Wisconsin, who it's not a far drive, it's an easy drive. How do people get tickets? How can people attend?
Yeah, JohnDeereClassic.com is the easiest way. All of our tickets are digital through Ticketmaster. The one thing that I would say, Mitch, to that question is, for 51 years of this event, we've always had about a 2.5-hour radius. So Des Moines, Chicago, Milwaukee has always really fit in that window. And we've always had a strong Wisconsin contingent with, Steve Stricker's legacy here at the John Deere Classic. The really cool thing is now that we've added concerts on Saturday, Sunday, and we'll have Dierks Bentley here on Saturday night, and Zach Brown Band to close our tournament week out.
A little bit of
awesome.
little bit of chicken fried. Let's go.
That's right. Our radius has gone from about a 2.5-hour radius, pushing now 4.5. We're starting to see St. Louis creep in and even into northern Wisconsin. So JohnDeereClassic.com. The cool thing is it's a $50 ticket. Gets you golf all day. That's the entry-level ticket. Gets you golf all day, and if you're there on the weekend, that also gets you the concert as well.
And isn't there there's a program for kids, right? Is it under what age is that where kids under a certain age get in free?
15 and under is free.
Ooh, okay.
That's nice.
Well, and we feel as stewards of the game of golf that it's our duty to continue to grow the game of golf. And you think back to 2023, we had Caitlin Clark here, and we were the busiest youth day in the history of PGA Tour youth days from when they could track ticket data. So, as we look at the data points that as golf continues to grow, the game is growing with women, and the game is growing with children. So it's our job to make sure that we're continuing to nurture that and get as many people introduced to professional golf as possible. And the really cool thing is these concerts have brought a whole new demographic of folks who probably weren't buying a golf ticket before, and we've kind of married the two together to turn this into a true community event.
That is awesome.
Those are great concerts for $50. I mean, to come in and be able to watch some golf and listen to an awesome concert, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, we feel really blessed that we're able to do that, and we're going to cross $200 million for charitable giving this year for this, I guess, marketplace and region.
That's so great.
And this event has a $72 million economic impact on this community, and it's about a 380,000 person community. So as a Bears fan, as a Chicago sports fan, we are the Green Bay Packers. Hold on.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Not just for the colors, but we truly are the Green Bay Packers of the PGA Tour because of the community aspect. And really an entire community getting behind an ownership of what that event means to that community. So I'm proud to say that as a Bears fan that we are the Green Bay Packers of the PGA Tour.
I love that. Hey, Andrew, I'm just giving you a hard time. I love that. That is so awesome.
Hey, by the way, can I throw one more thing out there that you'll like?
Sure.
So we have a fantasy football league like every other office does, and our assistant tournament director, Ashley, she changed her fantasy team name to My Kicker is My MVP because, Mason, you carried her team for 3 straight years.
Let's go.
Love it.
Let's
yes.
go.
First round draft pick. Let's go.
That's amazing.
I love that.
I love it. And then, Todd, I got a follow-up question for you because I will admit it, I'm not a huge golfer, but I'm a huge eater and a huge drinker. So I always ask, what's the best thing to eat at your course? And do you guys have any specialty beverages or anything like that?
Yeah, we're big. They love the infusions down here. That's the drink.
Okay.
For the week. But for the week, we do the feeding of all the pros. So all the pros in the clubhouse, and the tour rolls out an amazing menu, very healthy, conscious, but really well done. Lehman and his team and his kind of caterers do the golf course. They have Pork Chop Hill, and that's probably the local favorite. I'm sure Andrew can talk more about that. But they
okay.
The golf course. So.
Yeah, we're really known for our pork chop sandwiches, and right off the 16th hole is Pork Chop Hill, and we had a partnership with a food bank in Illinois last year where over 2 tons of pork was consumed at the John Deere Classic. And then as far as drinks go, your standard run of the mill, we're an Anheuser-Busch event, but Tito's vodka. So there's, I think Todd called them infusions, transfusions. And then the new drink of the summer, for whatever reason, on a golf course is called the Water Hazard. And it's vodka, with blue Gatorade and a splash of Sprite. So I think you'll see some of those out here as well.
That sounds
Nice.
great.
Yeah,
That
get those
great.
electrolytes in while you're pounding a gallon of Tito's. I love that.
I have blue
That's what
Gatorade.
it's about.
I had blue Gatorade while coaching softball last night, so I'm already 1/3 of the way there. Let's go.
You're just missing vodka.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go.
That's exactly. That's why I'm like I do like Tito's and water, and I'm just like I'm hydrating. I mean that's like it's fine. You just put a little lime in there, and it's good to go. But now I know I can just add Gatorade, and I'm even better.
Public
As a
service.
non-professional athlete, I'm glad that you and I share that
Yes.
opinion. Of
Exactly.
hydrating.
But public service announcement for those of you listening at home: please hydrate with just water in the future.
Yes, only water, no hydration needed with the Tito's. So guys, before I let you go, we got Todd Hyduke with TPC Deere Run, the general manager, Andrew Lehman, the director of the John Deere Classic. I really appreciate y'all jumping on the show. But I do want to just ask one question for listeners who maybe are new to the game or trying to get involved. Like, what's like kind of your opinion, the best way to get involved? Obviously, come watch an event like the John Deere Classic, because I think that will get your blood flowing. And then like that next step, like lessons, like what is going on in the PGA, in the golf world for people to get involved and try to get those handicaps down a little bit.
Well, I'll start with that one, Andrew. So, I mean, the world of golf has changed so much the last 5-7 years with Top Golfs and wanting folks to get involved. I think that has been amazing for the growth of the game, getting folks just in the door, because it's very nerve-wracking. If you've never been to a golf course, all the formalities, all the etiquette, all the protocols, right? You don't know where to go. You don't know what to do. You miss a shot, you feel overwhelmed, you feel intimidated. So
Stressful, yeah.
Yeah, it's very stressful. So get involved, get it to where you get at least comfortable, and then to your point, Mason, is get someone to help you out. Get yourself. You got to build some confidence. You got to build some ability to say, "Hey, I feel good about this." Play in some scrambles, play in some no-brainer events that people aren't really being critical of, and get up to the point where I think after COVID, people just got excited about being outside, socializing, and being part of it. Then, depending on your ability, how far do you want to take that, and what's the next steps? Get some lessons, get some clubs, and then get passionate about the game.
And I would add to that, those are all great points, but, as you get better at the game, your expectations change. And
For sure.
you do some research and look at the best players in the world at how close from 50 yards, 75 yards, 100 yards, they're hitting it to the pin. Temper your expectations, because anything on the green in regulation is great. And just have fun with it, because it's a game for life. It's a game you can play with a 6-year-old. It's a game you can play with your 84-year-old grandmother or grandfather. And it's, there's so many life lessons within the game of golf, and just have fun with it.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. So like kind of something that we're doing on this On the Green segment is that like, what's that tip to break 90, to kind of just get yourself, if you are playing and all of those things. And I think that y'all just kind of hit it. It's expectation, right? Like lower that expectation. I was playing with somebody the other day, and it was like, I'm, over a 10-foot putt, and he's just like, I think we were in a scramble, and they're like, do you know, like PGA Tour players, like this is not like a gimme, It's like, I think everybody sees on TV so many guys making putts because the TV just goes to who's playing well, and you just forget that like there's a lot of missed putts on the PGA Tour, and guys just keep moving forward. So I think that's a great kind of segue into how do you break 90? How do you get better at this game? And I think lowering expectations is a great place to start.
Yeah, well said.
There's always a path back to the fairway, even when you're in trouble.
I love that. I love that. Well, Todd Hyduke, the general manager at TPC Deere Run, and Andrew Lehman, the director for John Deere Classic. Really appreciate y'all jumping on the green. I can't wait to be watching this here in a few weeks, watching that tournament. And good luck with everything. And go Pack, go.
Hey, go Pack, go, and we'd love to get you guys down to the Quad Cities sometime.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Yep.
We will
would
take
love
you
it.
up on that for sure. We will definitely make it down there.
If you still talk to AJ Dillon, he played in the Pro-Am last year. Just text him and ask him how many golf balls he lost.
Oh yeah, I've seen AJ swing. I mean, he's he's working on it, but he's definitely needs some of these
29.
lessons. That's awesome.
I think he
That's
lost 29 golf balls.
29 golf balls.
That's amazing.
I love it.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, appreciate y'all.
There's Andrew Lehman and Todd Hyduke of the John Deere Classic. That's kind of crazy. what do you say, 39 golf balls that they lost? How do you lose that many? Even I'm not that bad at
They
golf.
better be paying some interns to go in and find them.
Exactly. It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I'm Charlie Uczen, that's Jack Pembroke over there. If you guys want to hear more from the Fan today that you're not getting out of Wisconsin Sports Weekend, do not fret. Right after the show here, Tommy Wirtz will be coming on live for the leadoff show to talk about the Brewers demolishing the Twins last night, and as they look to make it 3 straight wins today for the Crew, Tommy Wirtz will be on live with the leadoff show at noon here Central Time. He'll go through the lineups. He'll let you hear from the manager. He's one of the best to do it in the state, so if you want to know everything Brewers, everything that's happening in the major leagues, minor leagues, Tommy Wirtz has got you. It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We will be
Hit the shower. Grab your coffee. And get ready to attack the weekend with Charlie Uczen and Jack Pembroke as they catch you up on everything Wisconsin sports you may have missed this past week, all before you even finish your breakfast. It's Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
How we doing, folks? How we doing? It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sports Book. We are getting into the second hour of Wisconsin Sports Weekend here. If you missed any of the show before this, feel free to head back on your free Odyssey app, rewind there. You can hear the first hour of the show. Heroes talk about Jacob Mizorowski's phenomenal performance last night. Rodgers in Pittsburgh and Jair in Baltimore coming back to Green Bay are going to be playing Green Bay. Either way, these are going to be big revenge games for these two guys and the Packers. We want to know which one you thought would be more important, which one you think will have the most juice to it. And then at 9:40, we were on the green with Mason Crosby and Mitch Thunder Nellis as they talked with Andrew Lehman and Todd Hadouk of the John Deere Classic. I was saying it wrong earlier. I got it now. I got it locked in. Todd Hadouk.
Great enunciation.
Thank you. I appreciate it. If you guys wanted to watch a Wisconsin Sports Weekend, you can head over to the Fan Milwaukee's YouTube, and you can see me and Jack Pembroke struggle with the new cameras that we're working on over there.
We're getting used to it. It likes to just loaf around sometimes.
Exactly. We're getting used to it. You can head over there and watch the live stream of the show there in case you are more of a visual guy instead of an audio listener. You know, we get it.
We haven't broken any cameras yet.
Not yet. One day we probably will at some point here. Maybe Sparky when he gets a little angry at the Bucks or something. There may be a camera going across the room. We'll see. All right, but we do want to stick with the NBA, talking about the Milwaukee Bucks. And we wanted to talk about this NBA Finals that has all of a sudden become one of the most interesting I've seen in a really long time. When before the Finals, nobody wanted to talk about this series. Even during the Finals, people are putting it on the back burner. Now they're forced to watch as this series goes to Game 7 between the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Indiana Pacers took down the OKC Thunder in Game 6, 108-91. To talk about the Indiana Pacers win, we got our resident Pacers fans, Larry and Corey. Larry and Corey, how are you guys doing today? You guys feeling good after that Game 6 win?
Oh, way better.
Good.
Much better after that win.
Good. In this game, you saw the Indiana Pacers play a lot more of a team-style basketball than I think we've seen throughout this entire playoffs. It's been a lot of Tyrese Haliburton. It's been a lot of Pascal Siakam. In this one, you had a little bit of everybody doing everything. TJ McConnell has been what feels like the MVP of this series. Who do you think has been the MVP of the series so far for the Pacers?
I completely agree that McConnell should be a dark horse for MVP. Siakam, we wouldn't be here without him for sure. That trade last year was so pivotal to get us to the ECF last year and to get us where we're at right now. I think that he is probably the odds-on favorite if you had to ask me. You're absolutely right, though. Team ball, especially in Game 6, kind of forced our hand with the Haliburton injury. However, I don't think the Thunder were ready for just how active we were going to be. I think that definitely played a part and made them have to change their strategy for Game 7.
For sure. With this Indiana Pacers team, Tyrese Haliburton, you mentioned the injury that he's been dealing with over the past couple of games. This past game, he takes a little bit of a backseat. He has an extremely efficient game. He's a plus 25 on the court when he was out there. You saw the impact of him being on the court. But the game before, he's scoreless from the field. He has a couple free throws. What do you think he has to do in this Game 7 in order for the Pacers to win the NBA Finals?
He's got to remain a threat. He's got to come out and produce that same threat level that he did in the beginning. He didn't have a huge game, but he was enough worry for them because he was hitting his threes. He was being aggressive enough to take shots. When we win, it's because Hallie is forcing the issue. And when we struggle is when he's laid back and more passive and is looking only to be a facilitator. So as long as he continues to put pressure and he makes OKC guard him as a scorer, then we've got a really good shot at this game.
Do you guys feel like Rick Carlisle is getting enough love and getting his flowers for what he's built? I said this, a couple weeks ago on our show to you guys and Charlie. It looks like the Pacers are the more well-rounded team and the better basketball team, and the OKC just has, bigger stars, bigger talent. But is Rick Carlisle really getting enough love for bringing in a Siakam and being able to kind of get this team to this point?
Absolutely not. He definitely deserves his flowers. If you even date back to his first stint in Indy, he put together such a well-built team, like you said, then moving on to Dallas. What he did there, obviously, just unspeakable, beating the Heat, and then coming back here, and what he's done to sort of make. 5 years ago, we were a defensive team and couldn't hit a jump shot to save our lives. Now the story is flipped, and no one can even run the floor with us. So I think that you hit the nail on the head. He's not getting his due flowers for everything that he has done for this team and just making it mold the way that it has.
For sure. Larry, Corey, final question here for you guys. Final score prediction for Game 7 of the NBA Finals. What's going to happen in this final game?
Oh, we said it in the beginning. This is Pacers in 7.
Mm-hmm.
We, like I said, we love the drama. We fight best when we're on our back, but it's our time still.
All right. I love it. Thanks for calling in, guys. Hopefully we get to hear a happy version of you after Game 7 this weekend. Next weekend, we'll get you guys on Saturday again, and we'll see how this all played out. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Of course. Thanks for coming on, Larry and Corey. Our resident Pacers fans, Pacers experts, always great whenever they come on to talk a little bit of Indiana basketball for us in this NBA Finals. The one thing I wanted to talk about with this NBA Finals, though, has to do with a quote from Gilbert Arenas yesterday on First Take on ESPN. He joined Stephen A. Smith and that crew to talk about ring culture in the NBA, and it brought me to this question I have next for you guys.
When did ring culture become a thing, right? When you talk about a team award, something that a structure needs to win does not boost you in front of individual accomplishments. And when you used Kobe, would frowned upon what LeBron said, I would disagree with that.
Got you.
I would disagree with that because
I remember what I said there.
In real time, Kobe had 3 rings. Y'all wasn't treating him like a 3-ring player. You were treating him like a sidekick. He was considered a sidekick. He was considered a Robin. He was considered the next Pippen. In 2002, with 3 rings, we were still comparing T-Mac. Who was better in the league? You couldn't convince the NBA down the middle who was better. So
between
T-Mac and Cole.
Totally true. Totally
right?
true.
So if you're sitting there with 3 rings and you're still being compared to someone who doesn't have rings, what do you think happened? I need individual accomplishments. Can you please get rid of Shaq? Right? Because if it was about rings, there was no reason for the fallout with him and Shaq. The fallout was about you only respect the driver of the car. No one respects the passenger of rings.
So that is Gilbert Arenas, former NBA star with the Washington Wizards, talking about ring culture. And he says that the people that get respected when it comes to championships are the ones that are the star players of the team. If you're not a star player, that ring doesn't matter as much for you. That brings me to my question here on Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios. Outside of Tyrese Haliburton and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who would an NBA championship matter most to in these two teams? Jack, first I want to ask you about Gilbert Arenas' take here. Do you think that's accurate? Do you think that's true that only the star player matters when it comes to that ring?
2 quick points. You've got to hear where the information's coming from. Mm-hmm. Gilbert Arenas, a me guy, and I lived in D.C. during the Gilbert Arenas years, and he lived in Great Falls, Virginia, where I lived. He's a me guy. Mm-hmm. So I have to take that with an ounce of salt.
Fair enough.
And understand that he didn't get rings, so he does not care about ring culture.
A little jealous, yeah.
Yeah, there's a little bit of angst there. I do think he's right when he was saying, because I remember that generation. Tim Duncan was easily the quietest superstar in the league, right, and they had built a beautiful team around him. And it wasn't just like, oh, it was just this core. He was able to win with different cores around him, which makes you a superstar. But I think he was right. Kobe never should have been in like 1A, 1B with Tim Duncan at that point when they had both had 3 championships. Right. It's hard for me. This just seems kind of like complacent talk of, oh, well, you can't compare Jordan's rings to LeBron's because it's a different game and that's just chasing rings. To me, that's just whiny. I'm just hearing whine. But I do think in the perspective of that question, when we're looking at this series, and you're going to ask me who you think gains the most from a title that's not Halliburton or SGA in this series, I think it's Pascal Siakam. I mean, if he doesn't win in Toronto, and we're not really talking to him, he could have, maybe if they don't win in Toronto, he could have been a Buck or something like that. But you've got to look at his career and say, man, that's one of the best six man in the NBA career.
Mm-hmm. I think when you look at Pascal Siakam's resume as well, is he has the most improved player. He has a couple All-Stars. He has an All-NBA selection in his resume. He has an NBA championship already in his resume. For a guy that's probably never going to win an MVP, I think a second NBA championship is pretty easily as close as you get to that, if we're being honest.
Well, if he has a game tonight,
he gets a Finals MVP too.
Yeah.
Do you think that boosts?
If he plays well, I think the background is set for him to get an MVP if he drops like 26, 28 tonight,
right.
And because Halliburton with the injury, we don't know is he really that hurt? Isn't he? I think he's quietly been the glue for this team.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think you could also say T.J. McConnell gets Finals MVP potentially. And as I mentioned that with Larry and Corey earlier.
I'm biased. He's Irish. I'm Irish. I'd love to see a white Irish point guard shock everyone, but I think that he had a great performance, but I don't think he's
not
the
good
MVP.
Enough. Right, I get that. I think when I look at the Oklahoma City Thunder and we bring up this question outside of Hallie and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who would an NBA championship matter the most to? You can hit us up at the Fan Milwaukee on Facebook and Twitter, or on 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. That's to get on the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line. We're also live streaming on YouTube right now, so comment on there if you want to get in on that. We can see it on there. Yeah, Jack's in a box. He is literally in a box right now in real life and on the computer. But when I look at the Oklahoma City Thunder side of things, I think I look at a guy like Alex Caruso and say that this probably matters a lot to the longevity of his career. Maybe not the resume, that doesn't really matter as much. But this is a guy that was traded straight up for Josh Giddey, a guy that was much younger than him, a higher draft pick, somebody that the Chicago Bulls probably felt like were a better part of this future. The Oklahoma City Thunder make this trade for a guy like Alex Caruso, I think under the impression that he helps them win an NBA championship this year. That's the big difference, is that he helps them win it at this moment. And I think what their plan is that it doesn't build upon that. Once they win the NBA championship, or if they lose the NBA championship, their plan at the beginning of the season was to move on from a guy like Alex Caruso. And if you are going to choose to move on from a guy like Alex Caruso, I think an NBA championship for him personally helps boost that career to last maybe another 5 years beyond what it probably was predicted to. I think he's already made his career last a lot longer than it should have. He was a G League guy. He was somebody who's given up on by multiple teams before getting that shot with the Lakers and then turning that into big opportunities for him as his career moved forward. I think for Alex Caruso, when you look at an NBA championship and what it can do for adding an extra 5 years to a guy that has a lot of skill sets that a lot of teams could use, you feel pretty good about that. And I think outside of Pascal Siakam, because I think he's the pretty easy answer, it's Alex Caruso on the other side of things. I don't think your mic's on, Jack.
You always try and change my mind.
I always try. I do.
And you know, you change the needle a little bit because obviously Siakam is the, you know, if you watch basketball, it's the obvious
right
for how his performance has been. But Alex Caruso is a sneaky little pick, and I like that.
I do what I can. I think he's an NBA champion as well, so this would be his second NBA championship too, along with Pascal Siakam. Let's head on over to that aforementioned Nicolay Law Fan Talk and text line. On the line here, we got David. David, you are on Wisconsin Sports Weekend. What do you want to talk about with us here, my man?
Good morning, gentlemen. I had to call in. It can't be Pascal because Pascal's got a ring.
Okay.
And this is what we are talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that ring culture.
Right.
So if he's got a ring, it cannot be him. Now, getting the Finals MVP, completely different story, right? But at that point, you got to look back at the other players on these two teams. One, Shai is the MVP. You get an MVP, you got to get yourself a ring at some point. So he's probably my default number one. But as like my number two, Miles Turner had so many years of looking like a top NBA center. Now, that's fallen off dramatically at this point, but if you're looking off of the stuff that he had, the spotlight was shown on him, and he was the front man in Indiana for the longest time. So I think you got to look towards him.
I'm with David on that. I like the Miles Turner call.
I think when you look at a Miles Turner in the landscape of the NBA right now, the center position is a little different. You don't really have a lot of true traditional centers, and I think he was kind of the forefather of changing what a center is in the NBA to this point. He started shooting those threes. He's been a lot more athletic and kind of a shot blocker, maybe not the best defender, but a good shot blocker. A guy like Miles Turner, if he goes and wins an NBA championship, David, what do you think that does for the longevity of his career? Do you think he gets more respect across the league just by having that ring and not having any other accolades really to his name?
I think it just makes him feel complete.
Right.
Let's be honest. Miles Turner ain't what he used to be. I mean, he still gets his name thrown in there on the trade market, for the midway point of the season for the teams that need a bigger man. I mean, hell, I'm pretty sure he's been thrown about in the Bucks conversation on a year or two. Yeah. But, I mean, like you said before, Miles Turner isn't what he used to be, at least not 5, 6, 7 years ago, but he still has that name value. I mean, again, his name is getting brought up constantly. You got to do it. And also, too, another person to kind of throw out there is Hallie, because, with the amount of, talk that Halliburton gave throughout the entire playoffs, I mean, he kind of needs it, especially if he's voted the most overrated player in the league.
Right, definitely, David. Thanks so much for calling in, my man. Don't be a stranger.
Yep, have a good one.
You too. All right, Hallie and SGA, I think easily, yes, you got to talk about them for this. But my whole thing with this is they were the obvious answers. I want to talk about the guys that were, again, not getting the same kind of love. I think, obviously, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you're right. Winning an MVP, you have to go and then win an NBA championship. That's the next step.
Yeah, it validates that whole season.
That's what Giannis has done in the past. That's what Jokic did recently. You got to go and just finish it off and for your own personal career. Tyrese Halliburton, yes, he's had this phenomenal run, not only this postseason. People, you need to understand, he has been this clutch and this amazing the entire season.
If you're a casual, please tune in, because this guy has been the truth since he was on the Clippers.
And I think winning an NBA championship cements him into that top 2 tiers of NBA stardom. Right now, I think he's firmly in that second tier.
Yeah, he's a tier 2 guy.
This allows people to have that superstar conversation that everybody loves to have about Tyrese Halliburton. I think it becomes more legitimate if he adds an NBA championship to his career. But to Gilbert Arenas' point, yes, those guys, obviously, they're the drivers of the bus. It's going to matter to them a little bit more. I want to know, to the guys that apparently it doesn't matter to, the Alex Carusos, the Miles Turner, how much personally would it affect them and their careers? Again, I think that's the big question here. Again, if we're going to talk about ring culture and how it's changed the viewpoint of how we view players, then how do we dissect these other players on the team if the rings don't matter for them? Then how is that a different set of views there?
You know when this all changed?
When's that?
This all changed when, so my NBA era was you didn't join up when you got beat. It was physical. You wanted to beat. You weren't friends with Reggie Miller. You weren't calling him up or Charles Barkley and saying, hey, let's create a super team.
Right.
As soon as that happened, and I'm not trying to blame LeBron on everything, but as soon as I'm taking my talents to South Beach, it was everyone, it was like AAU middle school. Oh, well, that team's really good. I'm going to go jump on that team so I can go get some wins and get some spotlight. That's what changed this. It wasn't this natural occurrence of a team that you had to build through the draft. You had to have a good GM. You had to have a good owner that built a team for 3 to 5 years, and then you got your shot. Now it's just like, oh, it's like the NIL. Okay, I can get more money there, and I can go play with my friends. That's what when we're talking ring chasing.
That's what changed it. I get that. It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. When we come back, it'll be time for Mount Pixmore. We had a pretty good mountain this week. We'll let you guys know how it went, and we'll give you guys all the new picks that we have for the weekend. We will be right back. live with Charlie Uczen and Jack Pembroke on the other side of the glass. We are here at the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, giving you guys another great show. It is 10:30 now, so we're about a little past the time that we normally are for Mount Pixmore. If you guys are new to Mount Pixmore, don't worry, I'll explain it to you real quick. I pick 2 different props and players each week. Jack picks 2 different props and players each week off of Prize Picks. Out of those 2 picks, we take those, put together a little Mount Pixmore. Imagine Mount Rushmore with the 4 heads, but instead it's picks. You put those 4 heads up there. Next week, we come back to our 4 picks. If we got that pick right, or both our picks right, both those players or both those props will stay on the mountain. If we got one of them wrong or both of them wrong, then at that point, one of those or both of those will be taken off the mountain and replaced with a new pick for Jack or I. This week, we did pretty good. We went 3 for 4 on our picks. The soccer legend Leo Messi was the one, of course, who had to mess us up every time. I think it's always like the best player possible messes us up.
Yeah, we're 1 for 3 on best soccer player picks.
Exactly. So let's start with your side of the mountain, Jack. Let's start with Leo Messi. How did he do this past weekend?
You know, he's a good friend of the show. He listens intently. But he wasn't listening hard enough when we wanted more than 52 and a half passes completed. He gave us 42. But he did. I guess we should have gone goals and assists because I think he had 2 and 1 assist.
Of course he did. Yeah. He was feeling a little more
He did
aggressive.
everything else but passing.
I get it. It's Messi, man. He's got to be a little bit more aggressive sometimes. You did get your second pick right, though. What was that second pick?
Pascal Siakam, the voodoo priest himself, gave us the free throws we needed. We needed, I believe it was more than 3.5 made.
Correct. And he gave us 7 in that game.
He was listening.
He helped out a little bit. Let's stay with that game on my side of the mountain. For OKC, I had Lou Dort, shooting guard, defensive specialist for this team, but I had him a little bit offensive this game. I had him with more than 1.5 3-pointers made. He hit 3 of them for us, so he gets to stay on the mountain. And then I also went with a little bit of a wild card. I went into the darts world. Didn't really know what I was doing for sure, but I do know Luke Littler. I knew he is one of the most exciting people in sports. He's like a 25-year-old who looks like he's 40, but he's electric.
He's lived some hard years in those dart alleys.
Exactly. I had him and his teammate Luke Humphreys throwing more than 4 180s, so that's the most you can have in one throw at a time in darts. In the Nationals competition, so they were on a team for Team England. They actually got upset in the first round of this tournament by Germany. They lost the match 8-4.
The Germans.
But in this match, they still ended up throwing 5 180s combined, so they still ended up helping us out despite the loss. So thank you, Luke and Luke, for helping us out there. Let's go over and now put our new heads on the mountain on Mount Pixmore here. Jack, you do have to replace one of your heads. Who are you replacing Leo Messi with?
TJ, the Irishman himself, McConnell.
All right. What do you got him giving you in
I
this
believe at break I took more than 9.5 points.
Correct. Yep.
I believe he can do that.
I think so. He's been giving you about that in most of these games.
Coming off almost 70-point game.
I also, though, feel like this is a game where Tyrese Halliburton's going to be trying to take control a little bit
There's
more.
a reason why it's at 9.5. It's going to be close.
Mm-hmm. And your second pick there, you got to keep Pascal Siakam on the board. What did you pick for Pascal this week?
I believe we are taking more. Oh, no. I'm taking less.
No, you have more on you. You did take more on, at least, unless you want to switch it to less.
No, we're more.
All right.
It's more than
5
free throws. We're going back for the free throws.
I like it.
We trust him.
I like it. I think it's a good strategy. You can stick with it.
It's safe.
It's more than last week though. Like going from 3.5 to 5 at that line is a pretty big jump.
We gotta hope he gets the line at least 3 or 4 times in the first half.
Again, I think it's all going to depend on Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah.
In the end. I think he is the one who dictates who scores in this game. If he's not playing well, it's going to be Pascal Siakam.
The ball's going to be in Pascal's hand. Yep.
Exactly. If we head over to my side of the mountain, let's stick with Lou Dort to start off. I had him making more than 1.5 3-pointers made last weekend. I'm going something a little bit harder this weekend. I want to see if my magic is really working here, Jack.
You're a warlock too.
I guess. I mean, maybe I'm a Wisconsin wizard. You know, the warlock, I'm the wizard. You know, we'll make it work.
Okay.
If we look at Lou Dort, he's not exactly the tallest dude, but at the same time, you have a lot of players on Indiana that have been driving a lot recently. I think he can get me more than half a block shot in this game.
Okay.
Again, he's not a guy that normally does that, but I have a good feeling about it. It does have a devil on it, a demon on it, which means that it's a hard one that you can only pick more. But if you
I like the risk reward.
If you're risking that, you get a little bit more money back. You know, it's a good deal. It's a good deal. If we head on over to my second pick, normally Luke Littler and Luke Humphreys would stay on the mountain, or the 180s throne would stay on the mountain. Unfortunately, there is no darts this week, so I cannot put them back on the mountain at all. What we are going to do, though, is stick with something a little unconventional. I like going into these weirder realms, and if I'm going to go with darts, I'll stick out with something that I'm kind of guessing a little bit on. We're going to head over to the Canadian Football League, where Dustin Crum, I just loved his name.
Hey.
Dusty Crum is an awesome QB name, man. That's like something I'd put in...
Great NIL money deal.
NCAA, I was just going to say it in the video game. That's what like an auto-generated quarterback would be named. Dusty Crum playing for Ottawa going up against Calgary. I have him throwing for more than 232.5 passing yards. Again, this is something that I'm kind of freewheeling on here.
We know it's a bigger field.
We do. I think
wider too.
There's some magic to be had, I think. That's what I'm looking at here. I was a little confused, though, because when I was on Prize Picks before, though, going through the Canadian football, they only had 3 quarterbacks available. So there's 2 games happening, but one of the quarterbacks you couldn't pick more or less on. So I don't know if that guy was garbage or something, but I'm going to pay attention this week. And if he plays well, that random dude, and they put him on Prize Picks, I'm going with him. That's
maple syrup rules. I don't get it.
Exactly. All right, so that's going to do it for our mountain this week. Again, this past week we had Lionel Messi with more than 52.5 passes attempted. He only ended up with 42, which is all right. That just means he gets blown up off our mountain. We had Pascal Siakam with more than 3.5 free throws made. He had 7 for us. If we head over to OKC, Lou Dort with more than 1.5 3-pointers made. He had 3 of them. Awesome. And then we had Luke Littler and Luke Humphreys of the National Darts Association. They were playing for England up against Germany, and I had them throwing more than 4 180s. They ended up throwing 5 of them. If we look at the mountain for this week, we're going to stick with Pascal Siakam in free throws. We're going to have him shoot more than 5, or make more than 5, excuse me. Replacing Leo Messi, we got TJ McConnell for Indiana with more than 9.5 points in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. If we head over to my side, Lou Dort gets to stay on the mountain in the NBA Finals as well with more than half a block shot. That one's going to be a tough one, so if you trust me,
cross your
just
fingers,
ride with
baby.
Me. Exactly. Knock on some wood for me, man. And then last up, we got Dustin Crum playing for Ottawa against Calgary in the Canadian Football League with more than 232.5 passing yards. If you guys wanted to follow along with that, feel free to put it in. Tweet at us if you have better picks for Mount Pixmore this week. If you got some good picks for next week, if you expect us to lose some here and you want to give us a little bit of help.
I think we'd be up for like a celebrity pick.
We'll take it
from the fan.
That'd be pretty fun. I think it'd be pretty fun. All right, that'll do it for Mount Pixmore. When we come back, it'll be time to pub crawl here on Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We will be right back, folks.
show? Maybe we didn't. It's time for the Wisconsin Sports Weekend Pub Crawl with Charlie Uczen and Tommy Wirtz.
Oh, you know what the Irish jig music means. It is time for the Wisconsin Sports Weekend Pub Crawl. Yeah, now you guys can actually see Jack do his Irish jig.
We gotta get the feet. We gotta get the feet on camera.
I don't know if we need to.
No, we don't. No. That's a different channel.
Exactly. It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. If you guys are new to the show and you do not know what the Wisconsin Sports Weekend Pub Crawl is, don't worry. It's where me and Jack just go through the sports world, give you guys a few snippets of topics that we weren't able to get on the show in a full segment, but we still want to get a little bit of a discussion on about. Let's start off here. We're going to go back and forth. I'll do the first one. We're going to start with the University of Wisconsin is planning to sue or is in the process of suing the University of Miami over Xavier Lucas, their sophomore defensive back that decided to leave the University of Wisconsin for the University of Miami despite being under a 2-year contract deal with the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the reason that this was such a big issue, and if you guys would like to read more about it, Ross Dellinger goes into a great breakdown on this on Yahoo Sports, college football writer and analyst Ross Dellinger on there. He broke down the fact that if Xavier Lucas in this process last year had at the end of July, I think it was July 1st, he gets paid for the next season moving forward there. At the end of last July, he did not decide that he wanted to transfer at that point, which means his contract went into effect with the Wisconsin Badgers for that next year. In the winter, he decided that he was going to transfer from the University of Wisconsin despite being under this tender here. The problem is, though, is that these tenders are through the school and the players. They're not exactly through the NCAA and their transfer portal rules. So while Xavier Lucas was still able to transfer, this is still a big issue for the University of Wisconsin because they feel like they're getting screwed, and the NCAA and Miami aren't really backing them up in this situation. They're more taking advantage of the situation. If Wisconsin goes and wins this case, it'll be a huge deal for college football. It'll be a huge deal for college sports in general because it will change the landscape of NIL.
Huge win for the universities.
Exactly. Yeah, I think if they go and do this, they'll have a lot more of the power back in their hands that they're missing right now because the players seem to have maybe a little too much at this point. Jack, what's first on your side of the pub crawl there, my man?
You like to go on drives, don't you?
Yeah, every once in a while.
Yeah.
I think it's a good time.
You're a little bit of a lead foot?
A little bit. I go like 5, 10 over.
Okay, safe. You're in with the safe bubble region of speed. Well, Shedeur Sanders might be picking up a new career as a NASCAR driver because twice in the past 2 weeks he's been found going well over 50 miles per hour in a 50 zone. Looks like some of those teams were right.
Yeah, I think when you see situations like that, it's really unfortunate because he's already gone through a lot of bad mouthing throughout this entire process.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hate on him.
I know. I don't think anybody is truly... Oh, there are people that are truly trying to hate on him. There are people that don't like him. He's a phenomenal football player. I think he should have been drafted higher than he was.
Yeah, 3rd or 4th.
I also don't think he was a first-round pick, like you're saying. He's a 3rd or 4th round pick. This is a guy that has had so much criticism on him, so many things that people are saying are issues about him that aren't publicly issues.
You can't do this stuff and let it feed in to
exactly
because then they're right and you're wrong.
That's exactly where I was getting with this, my man. That's 100% it. You can't allow these people to get their hands on situations like this when you are already kind of beaten down. You're fighting for a starting spot in the NFL when you were pretty sure you were going to be a starting quarterback from the get-go. And now you're barely fighting for a spot in an NFL roster, and you're going to go and do this twice. That gets you kicked off a team. That's the type of stuff that keeps you away from other organizations in the NFL. This is the type of stuff that gets you to go play with Dusty Crum in the Canadian Football
I was
League.
just going to say, wait, you are just beautiful at that. That's awesome.
What can I say? All right, here. Next up, we're going to head back to college football where Shedeur Sanders just was. The future number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft, a lot of people believe, is South Carolina quarterback LaNorris Sellers. Sellers did something pretty crazy this past week. He decided, or it was released through his father, that LaNorris decided to turn down $8 million in NIL from a different program in order to stay with South Carolina. LaNorris Sellers' father went on to say he told Sellers, his son, that you don't really need the $8 million at this point. You're already getting paid a lot of money by the University of South Carolina. Why don't you focus on creating a legacy at this university and focus on getting the money later on in life when you are already rich? You have already made a lot of money through this university. Make a name for yourself at this school. Jack, do you think this is something that you may see more often with some of these top recruits instead of them just constantly flipping where they're going?
I'd hope, because it keeps parity in all of college sports. But I think, we'll go to a very old Confucius saying, the grass is greener where you water it.
Right. That's exactly right. It's not always on the other side, just where you water. I like that. That's pretty good. I don't think I've heard that version.
Oh, I've got a couple of them.
Jack, what do you got up next on the pub crawl?
So, we were talking about Auckland FC last week and hoping that they'd be the little giants in the FIFA Club World Cup.
Right.
They got pummeled. So we're going to go and flip to a small Brazilian team that one of my favorite Brazilian players ever, Ronaldinho, came up with, and they are called Flamengo. And just like the Flamengo, they are pink and black.
Nice. That's
great colors. They upset Chelsea in a stunner 3-1 in the FIFA Club World Cup. So we did get a small little program upsetting a big English Premiership team. So I'm excited. I'm going to tune in this weekend.
So, how big of a deal is that in American sports? If you were to compare it.
We'll make it simple, right?
All right.
So it's like a Division 4 or 5 college team beating up. Like, Flamengo has 1 or 2 upcoming young players that big teams will find and snatch in 5 years. But it's really like a Division 3 team upsetting Ohio State.
That's pretty cool. That's a really cool story. Do you think this is something that Flamengo could keep going? Or is this like a one and done? They used all their energy to beat Chelsea?
So the background on Chelsea is there's a lot of issues going on with the program. It's they've played Champions Europa League tournament. They've played the season of the FA Cup. They've played the Premiership. They're tired. I think a little bit of it was phoned in.
Okay. I get you. Not really taking Flamengo seriously.
FIFA World Cup, Club World Cup is probably not as intense as other tournaments for these guys. It's their summer. Fair enough. I've heard complaints that it's too hot in America. They do not like playing in 90-degree weather.
All right, fair enough. I understand that. I don't really like playing in 90-degree weather either in any sport. Just kind of hanging out in 90-degree weather isn't always the most fun. So that's understandable. Let's head back to American sports. 2 of the biggest trades I've seen in a really long time happened not only in the MLB, but in the NBA as well. Rafael Devers, star third baseman for the Boston Red Sox, was traded to the San Francisco Giants last Saturday. Of course, it had to be at night when we don't get to see it and get to talk about it. Exactly. Bogus as hell. But we head over to that trade where the San Francisco Giants ended up giving 4 prospects, 2 of their top pitching prospects, and a couple other players over to Boston for a Rafael Devers. Now, Rafael Devers at his worst is probably still a top 10 batter in baseball. Like at his bottom, his possible worst, he is
his floor is wow.
Exactly. So this is a huge trade that didn't really seem like he got traded for that much. Part of the reason this is such a big deal is because the San Francisco Giants said that they are going to take on all $375 million of his massive contract moving forward, which is kind of unheard of. Usually, at least the team that is trading away takes part of that, or will take the deferral payments, which he's getting a ton of moving forward here. The Giants have taken on all of it, so the Red Sox are off the hook. That was a pretty big deal. If we head over to the NBA, Desmond Bane, star shooting guard for the Memphis Grizzlies, he's a guy that's been injured a lot, but when he is on the court, he's one of the most efficient, one of the best glue guys in the league, was traded to the Orlando Magic for 2 players and 5 total first-round picks, 4 unprotected and 1 pick swap. Absolutely absurd. If he's going for that much, Jack, how much does Giannis go for?
Oh my God, you could ask for all of King Midas's palaces. I'd say if it's got to be doubled with first round picks, at least 10. Then, if that's what the market wants.
And there's only a few teams that have. There's teams that have 10
first
round picks stocked up. There's options out there.
That's wild, Charlie.
Jack, what do you got next on the pub crawl?
So we're gonna stick close to home. We're going back to racing. Road America coming up. What you need to know. There's going to be cheese, food.
Good cheese. I love food.
It looks like Penske is going to go for another first, second, and third place finish there. That's what they did last year. So I'm interested to see if it's a 55-lap race, airs 1:30 Eastern time on Fox. And it's good to support local.
Right.
This is Wisconsin. It represents Wisconsin, and I don't know that much about racing, but I do know that Road America is one of the gems of race courses. So I'm tuning in. I'm going to tune in and see what it's all about.
For sure. I'm going to be down. That sounds like a good time to me. For my last stop on the pub crawl here, I want to go over ESPN's all-quarter century team for the NFL that they put out there. The reason I wanted to talk about that is because there is only one total Packer on this entire team. It is Julius Peppers. He is the backup defensive end behind Jared Allen, DeMarcus Ware, and Myles Garrett in this situation. And he's not even a Green Bay Packer.
Reggie White didn't even make it?
So this is the quarter century team. So,
so 2000 to 25 years. Okay.
So, but there's no Aaron Rodgers.
I just heard century, and I was like, what?
There's no Brett Favre. There's no Charles Woodson.
What?
You don't have any of these guys on this team. You don't have a coach. You don't have anything.
What Doge worker put up this list from 19-year-old Doge worker account?
Exactly. I was pretty flabbergasted by that. If you guys wanted to know what this team looked like, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Patrick Mahomes for the quarterback. If we go over to running backs, Priest Holmes, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry.
All right, Priest Holmes definitely deserves to be up.
Wide receivers, Randy Moss, Julio Jones, Calvin Johnson, Rob Gronkowski, Travis Kelce, Joe Thomas, Alan Fenica, Jason Kelsey. Head over to the defensive side of things. I mentioned those defensive linemen. You have J.J. Watt. So, he's from Wisconsin. That kind of counts. I guess we'll take that.
To not have C. Woods on a list like that is that's a cardinal sin.
So you have Darrelle Revis, Rondé Barber, Patrick Peterson, Champ Bailey, and Richard Sherman.
Rondé Barber beat out C. Woods?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Honestly, Patrick Peterson kind of surprised me, too. I love Patrick Peterson. I think he's a phenomenal player. I think he probably would have been, the first guy off.
I would have said he would have been my honorable mention.
Right. It would have been Charles Woodson gets that nod over him. So that was a little strange to me when I was looking at that team. Jack, what do you got up last year on the Wisconsin Sports Weekend Pub Crawl?
We really did find out that Jenny bust 2 years ago when she said the family business is going to stay in the family. Well, the Lakers really do have a selling price, and it's, a cheap little, nothing, throwaway money of $10 billion.
Oh, yeah, nothing. Just the most expensive franchise of all time. And that was for a portion of the ownership.
Not the full ownership.
So it is majority ownership.
Yeah. Her family will still own 15%, but for 85%, $10 billion. And it's the owner consortium from the Dodgers group.
Yep, so it's led by a man named Mark Walter. He is the main chairman of the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's the one that's putting forth the most money in this situation.
Who I believe already had 30 to 35%.
I believe so, yeah. He was already a partial owner of this organization. In this situation, Jeannie Buss is still going to be the president of the team. She's going to run the team.
Head, yeah.
Exactly. You're still going to have Rob Pelinka as the GM. So I think a lot of people are worried that this is going to make big changes not only for the Lakers and the NBA.
It looks like the Dallas Mavericks situation.
Exactly.
Oh, don't worry. It's still everyone who's been running things is going to run it. Mark Cuban still, and then we get a trade like Luka. So
Exactly. We'll see what happens with that. I'm also curious to see how much some of these other organizations start selling for, too. If that's the price for the Lakers, teams like the Dallas Cowboys, when Jerry Jones is getting close to the end here, may want to start thinking about selling because they're going to be worth a lot of money.
Jerry's like the crypt keeper. He will never sell this team.
I don't think he'll ever die at this point,
I know.
Man. He seems
good. They won't win another playoff game.
Exactly. All right, folks, that's going to do it for the Wisconsin Sports Weekend Pub Crawl, and subsequently we'll do it for Wisconsin Sports Weekend. It's been an amazing show. Jack is still stuck in the box. I think I'm going to leave him in there all night. If you guys were watching on the YouTube stream, feel free to stay tuned to that every day this week. And moving forward from that point on, we will be live streaming every single show on the Fan. So Pack a Day Radio from 8 to 9 in the morning, Mondays through Fridays. Right after that, you have the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thunder and Nellis. They'll be from 9 to 11. And Wisconsin Sports Daily from 2 to 5 every weekday with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer and us, Wisconsin Sports Weekend on the weekend. And we cannot forget about the Leadoff Show, hosted by Tommy Wirtz, your local Brewers expert. He knows everything about the major league teams, the minor league teams. He's going to run you through a little bit of a pregame of every Milwaukee Brewers game. Today, the Crew take on the Minnesota Twins after demolishing them last night. They're looking to make it 3 straight wins in a row here for the team. And Tommy Wirtz will give you all of the stuff that you need to know as they get ready for this game tonight. It has been Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We'll talk to you guys next weekend.